allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Village Clerk, please call roll.
Burgess.
Here.
Here. Here. Here.
All right, we move to item number 2, public comment. All questions or comments must be directed to the mayor. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to comment on agenda items only. Each speaker will be allowed 1 opportunity to speak. Who would please come to the podium?
Burgess Brewer on behalf of Sauk Village Citizens for Public Awareness. I have 2 questions. According to the auditors, in April of 2015, the water fund had approximately $3.3 million. It is our understanding that we have about $500,000 left in account. Can anybody give me a breakdown of what happened to the funds? And we want something other than the general estimate that it went to the general fund. We want to know what specifically was the money used for. And we want to know when we get that breakdown, especially since Mohan is here. And we like to know what happened to our money. The second question I want to ask is that this is the regular trustee Joe. In the last budget cycle, the budget was padded with $335,000.
I got a question. This is agenda items only.
Well, I'm addressing it to agenda 4, item 4, 5, where it says Mohan 5E, and also the 4G, all pertaining to budget. So I don't know if this is a budget report, so I need to ask a question.
There's no discussion on the budget tonight.
I got budget, finance, and then you don't know what my question is, so you don't know when you came to that 4G either. So, as I was saying, in the last budget cycle, there was a $335,000 grant that was supposed to be for Parks and Rec. However, we never got the grant. According to the mayor, there was $43,000 in employees first that was never voted on. In your opinion, can you tell me how do you expect to run the Parks and Rec when nobody, when they padded the budget, when the money would never exist?
All right, is there any questions?
That's 2, that's it.
All right. I don't see this. Your questions on the budget. I mean, anything on the budget on the agenda tonight. So, all right.
Is either one of you gonna answer me?
Is that budget finance?
What these finance questions, budget, the finance question here, I don't understand what.
You can talk to him after the meeting if you want to go and talk to him, but it's not on the agenda. So, all right. Any other questions or comments? Remember, this is agenda items only tonight.
Bernadine Hopkins. My question is 3E. What is the Director of Public Safety and what are the duties? 4C. What are duties of the Public Works Committee? I'm not familiar with that. 5D. What are the duties, of the Administrative Services Director? 5I. If there are issues involving senior committee, the senior committee, are they brought to you, variance, or is there a chain of command before you, and what or who are they? The second part to that is how are issues to be brought out, meaning do you bring them out at the board meetings or do you own, whatever like that. 6F, could you give an explanation, or could an explanation be given as to what that concerns? It looks like some lawsuit or something. Finally, 6G, what changes are being initiated regarding public comment? And that's pretty much that's it.
Is that all you have? All right. 6F will have the village attorney go over that. Yes.
6F is case Roberson versus Sauk Village and a number of other defendants. The plaintiff has two family members who sued the village, DCFS, a few doctors, and some police officers based upon an incident that occurred a couple of years ago. There was an infant in the house who ended up having multiple fractures to the infant's arms. The police department investigated it, brought it to the attention of DCFS and state agencies, and there was hearings held. That child and the other children were taken away from the family members. They're still being held away from the family members. They're not in the custody of the family members who were charged. They turned around and filed a lawsuit against DCFS, the doctors, the officers in the village, for the investigation and what was written in the reports and bringing the allegations against the family members. DCFS was dismissed out of the lawsuit after motions were filed. The doctors were dismissed out. The village has been doing discovery. It's been ongoing. We've kept the board advised of what's been going on, and we were able to get it to a settlement conference before a federal judge, and the judge recommended settling the matter for this dollar amount, primarily to stop any more legal fees to be incurred by the village in defending this case, which could have gone on for another year or two, and then possibly to a trial, which would have cost the village a lot of money. There was no admission of any liability or guilt on behalf of the village. It's purely a dollars and cents type of settlement, and it's up for approval today.
All right. I've got my old copy of the public comment, if you want to get a fresh one real quick. So, public comment portion, changes are made, says prior amendment to this section is repealed. Says any member of the public may address the board once for 3 minutes at a regular board meeting and committee meetings. Any topic for 3 minutes only, on agenda items during special call meetings. Each person will be given, may give their name prior to addressing the board. If individuals fail to yield the floor after expiration of the allotted time, the mayor may call for a recess or direct a police safety officer to ask the individual to yield the podium. The public comment portion of the meeting will not exceed 1 hour unless a majority of the board agrees to extend the limits. And then there was one other change in section 3. Talks about corporate authorities may answer questions from the public in as timely a manner as possible when questions are asked at a meeting, at meetings or submitted in writing. The appropriate village personnel may be consulted to answer questions to the best of their ability. So, kind of gets away from, like on regular board meetings where it's agenda items only. Now it's going to be, questions can be asked about anything. And there's a limit to the amount of time. I don't think we haven't exceeded that in a long time, but that's one of the things that came up. So, all right. All right. Next.
We got 3E, 4C, 5D.
And I don't have any of that information from me. And again, I mean, you're asking for job descriptions and things like that. Yeah, those are in the ordinance on file and on the internet. So, without having a job description in front of me, I'm not going to respond to that. So, all right, next.
Yes, my name is Hartman J. Harris, and I'd like to know if I could take this time to present Mr. Cecil Tate's thing right here. We got it for work on this.
Nothing on the board? I see no one shaking their head. Go ahead.
Pardon me?
I see no one shaking their head. No, so go ahead. Sure. Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
There you go.
I am Francine Anderson, and of course, I live at 1606, 216th Street. And sir, you said a couple of things that people came up to talk about today was not on your agenda. Budget, but it clearly states in 4G, Budget, Finance, and Community Relations Committee. Maybe you should ask Trustee Rosie Williams, since she's on the phone, if she could answer the questions that the citizens posed to you, instead of just saying it's not on your agenda, because clearly it's written here. People just don't pull this stuff out of their heads. The other thing I would like to have some answers to is G. I understand you just gave a summary, and in it you clearly stated that the audience will be limited to 1 hour of comments. Is that truly fair? So I would urge the trustees to vote no to this new public comment, although it will allow us to talk at any meeting, but you clearly said it will limit to 3 minutes, no matter whoever talk, however they talk, whatever subject they talk about, it was limited, and the whole total piece was limited to 1 hour. That is what you just clearly read when I was standing in the back of the room. So if you can re-justify that and tell me why did you come to that kind of limit in trying to keep citizens from expressing themselves, can you please do that? The other thing I would like to talk about, and you said it's not on the agenda, but clearly we're going to have a report from Mr. Kevin Weller over there. So I am interested in understanding from Public Works, when do you do the sewer cleaning? We pay a sewer fee. I haven't seen any like on my block in years. So, and I understand that most of my neighbors are having problems. You gave us a company to come in and pay $59 per year in order for them to do something with our sewer. But we also pay the village that fee. So I want to understand, what is the schedule for it? And how often should a citizen expect the village to do something with the sewer? And the other, my last comment, sir, would be, and I believe that I was here that day for your minutes, because it says 6B, a motion to approve the January 19th minutes. I was here and present. I would like to know and understand that you said the comments from the no confidence was a purely lie. It was not a lie. They were well written, well documented. And if you can prove that that's a lie, can you do that to me today? And I am Francine Anderson.
All right, thank you very much. 6G, we did already read. It does add that portion in there about the questions and comments is limited to an hour. So I already read that. And then the sewer cleanup is not part of the agenda, so if Kevin cleared his report, he wants to say something, it's up to you. So, all right, anyone else? All right, hearing none. We'll move to course of officers. We have the mayor's report. First thing I want to do is I've got Art Johnson here. Art Johnson has something he wants to say, and then here's my report. So,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Board. It's my regret that I am retiring from Sauk Village Emergency Management. We announced my retirement as Director of Sauk Village Emergency Management Agency effective March 15, 2016. I have enjoyed serving and working with all village officials and employees of Sauk Village for the last 34 years, but it's time to move on. I've also retired from the U.S. Postal Service effective March 1st, 2016. I will miss everyone, but it is time to move on to the next chapter of my life and spend my retirement in North Carolina with my family. Signed this date, February 23rd, 2016. Sincerely yours, Director of Sauk Village DNA, Arthur Johnson.
told him the same thing, he's going to be truly missed. And a lot of years of service here. And we appreciate everything you've done. And we're going to miss you. Not only as a department head, but we're going to miss you as a Sauk villager. So, but we wish you the best with your family, and make sure you keep in touch. So, thank you. All right, the other thing I'd like to announce is our thoughts and prayers are with the Thornhill family on the passing of their loved one, Travis Thornhill. Travis served in the Sauk Village Fire Department for 37.5 years before his retirement in 2002. The visitation will be Thursday from 3 to 8 p.m. at First Baptist Church. It's now over on Burnham. There's going to be a fire department walkthrough at 7 p.m. And on Friday will be the service at 10 a.m. There at First Baptist Church. Burial will take place at Memory Lane in Cherville, Indiana. There's a luncheon to follow at the First Baptist Church. At this time, I would like to ask for a moment of silence for retired Fire Chief Travis Thornhill. Thank you. This is my report. Move to the village clerk, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to say to Art Johnson, thank you. I appreciate your fact that you're retiring, but I also appreciated the many years that we worked together. You've always been a joy to work with, a good friend and a good coworker. And I wish you well in your retirement. And second of all, the only other thing I'd like to report is there seems to be a severe lack of communication between me and the board. I continue to send out emails, and I continue to ask them to please acknowledge receipt of the emails, and I'm not getting acknowledgement of receipt. I've talked to Gerald today to see if all the trustees have working emails, and I was told that they do. So if you do not have a working email, can you please let me know, because it's very important that I know that you're receiving the communications that I'm sending. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you. Move to the village attorney, Attorney Michael Graff.
Thank you, Mayor. No reports.
Move to the village engineer, Mr. Zunick.
Thank you, Mayor. Couple things. First, earlier in the month, we submitted the village's first annual report for the MWRD's new infiltration inflow control program. In the report, we identified the high priority area in the village's sanitary sewer system. We will be required to investigate this area during the coming year to attempt to reduce the amount of stormwater entering the sanitary sewer systems. And in the coming months, we will discuss this work in more detail. Second of all, responding to a question that Trustee Myers had during our last meeting, I was asked about the Lincoln-Lansing Drainage Ditch Commission, whether it still exists. We did a little bit of investigation. It absolutely still exists. The commission still taxes every residence in the drainage area, and apparently people who have been trying to sell their homes without paying this tax have even been issued a lien. However, I don't think the commission has undertaken any projects in the area of the village in years. So.
Mr. Mayor, I did find out where their office was through a little bit of research of mine. It's over in Linwood, in a back of a farmhouse back there. They have a small office, and one of the commissioners most of the time is there. So I did find them. Didn't get a chance to talk to them though, but thank you very much for your input, sir.
My pleasure. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you, sir. Move to the village administrator, director of public safety, J.P. McPherson.
Mayor and Board of Trustees, my report includes the following. Vacant housing, we're still working on the blueprint plan, and I think we've had some pretty good success. I will first say this, the village's master list today shows 443 vacant housing, 368 vacant, 357 vacant but occupied. That means they don't have a water count occupancy for this permit, and 18 on the demolition list. The 57 vacant and occupied housing without water count or occupancy, we sent letter to the village by May 1st of this year. They will face discontinuation of services like water and sewer. It should be noted that 57 non-accounts cost the village on average $34,000 annually. It should also be noted that on average vacant houses based on current figures, the certainly cost the village about $266,000, and this amount does not factor in reduced EAP, which is equalized property that the rate receives contributed. I want to say as a side issue, today, as a matter of fact, we collected about $59,000 going toward this project. Okay, scavenger services update. Staff has instructed contractors, the scavenger vendor and providers to implement the vacant houses do not qualify for garbage. I think I've mentioned this before. This action will result in savings on average of $89,000 annually. It was found by staff that the current scavenger contract was renewed in 2011, and the renewal period runs through 2020. We're looking for a way for a liaison or myself or somebody to talk to the vendor about how we're going to resolve these past due bills. At some point in time, the village should remove yourself from as a village provider for the village at a minimum, if we depend on how we're going to resolve this problem. Water accounts owing more than $400. A total of 259 water accounts owing more than $400 affecting water, sewage, and utility tax revenues were identified by staff. These accounts represent estimated loss village revenue in the amount of $270,000. I know this has been since the 38 of 259 accounts owing more than $1,000. These accounts have been asked to notify the village by March 7th or face discontinuation of services. These accounts are active and on average cost the village $89,000 annually. 32 of the above 259 accounts are terminated accounts. They represented a loss of the village revenue of around $67,000. I've asked the board for its approval to spend an amount of $2,100 to file liens against these properties, and the liens filing and preparation cost is approximately $65,000 per property. And we will be able to recoup some of this money if we get the approval. Due to the low staffing levels, I must say that the people at the front have done a remarkable job, as I said earlier, about how much money they collected today, and they're constantly vigilant in trying to collect the appropriate money. The remaining of the 189 accounts going $400 to $1,000 is total of $116,000 will be put on the watch list. We haven't figured out finally what we're going to do about this. We're trying to give people the opportunity to come in and resolve their issues on payment plan or something. I want to report that to the board, and we'll figure out and make some recommendations. And when the board has a recommendation, that we look forward to hearing from you. Note, for the first 53 days of 2016, water revenues have increased by $7,700 over the same period, not counting today, $159,000 just for today. This increase is due to identifying and focusing on arrears. I want to thank Sheriff Jazinski, Reed, Paxton, what's your other partner in crime? Sue, for doing a good job. And so Cindy and Mohan and the people up front and Mike have done a good job in terms of being courteous to the people. We're going to recommend amendments to towing ordinance and water ordinance. Towing penalties collected by the village be set aside in a dedicated fund for police vehicle purchases or repairs. We're going to submit that and see if it's approved or recommended by the board or anybody else that's appropriately have the authority to make that decision. We are increasing our turn-on fees to $250 and set aside these fees to be dedicated funds to public work vehicle purchases and equipment. That's the recommendation we'll make up with the ordinance. Now, we've also checked on the average turn-on fee for the villages around here, and that's the turn-on fee amount. Miscellaneous, just recently brought to my attention that the former chief of police entered into a contract agreement with Verizon phone service for 77 cell phones. The contract averages approximately $2,000 a month and is part of the state joint purchasing program, but was entered into, this contract was entered into without the approval of the Sauk Village Board of Trustees. There is no process that monitors the use of these cell phones or provided for an inventory procedure that I am aware of. I am requesting, we actually have done go through Kevin Weller and Mr. Mohan and his department to find out what amount of phones we have in this village to verify what we have. verify that, we are actually spending money that we should be spending. With reference to the budget, we prepared the budget of, give the department heads an opportunity to get their wish list, and looking at our amount of money, we're going to go back and look at the budget in terms of what we have spent, and then we'll be sending it to the mayor and you guys at that point in time. It should be in the next couple of days, I think. I want to say one other thing. We know about this new pension legislation will severely affect the amount of general use revenue for village will be able to collect from the state, so that might have some bearing, will have some bearing on the government and with our budget. Mr. Mayor, Board of Trustees, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor.
Trustee.
Mr. Fairman, I have a few questions. I wasn't clear on a couple of things. The first one, as far as the scavenger service, the contract is for 2020. Is it something that you said you weren't pleased, or you'd be looking to get another scavenger? Or
No, I'm not looking to get another scavenger. Ms. Burgess, what was happening is there's over 400 vacant houses. So they would be in charge, or we would be in charge of it. We're trying to reconcile what we may or may not owe. And luckily, Mohan has been doing, only paying the scavenger service what the amount of money that we actually take in. However, that still has an issue that needs to be resolved in some manner. I don't know how it's going to come out. I'm not making any suggestions about doing a scavenger contract or not. What I said was that absent this, I made a recommendation that maybe we want the scavenger services to actually, as one recommendation, be the one that collect their own fees. That's what I said.
we tried to do that before, and I think that's why, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's why we have the utility tax that's associated with each bill, because of us taking the money in and then we're paying them out. Because you're right, years ago, we used to have to go to, back then it was Skyline, that was in Chicago Heights, you had to pay then. They came to us and said, okay, in lieu of raising the rates or whatever, we would take charge of paying the bill. And you're right, when you do that, and you have people to move out, they're still going to charge unless they get something in their hands stating that we no longer pick up from that particular house because it's vacant, and that's when they get a list.
Well, we have started that. I'm just trying to, I don't, in terms of sending a list out. I'm just trying to find out what they think we might owe them, or, something. I don't want them to come back and say, you owe us. It's my duty to try to figure out if we owe them any money, come back and tell the board that, or if they owe us, come back. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, and then the other one I was going to ask, one of the other ones, the scavenger service for vacant homes. Isn't that part of the housing, whatever, that we're supposed to pay, we reimburse, is that what you're referring to?
No, what I'm saying is, before we actually put this plan together, nobody was telling the vendor that those houses were vacant.
Okay.
So what we were doing is getting billed for, or actually, according to the contract, I'm not saying we were billed, we were to be liable for that. So they didn't know, the vendor would not know the houses were vacant. What we have started now is that we have started with Sue and Sherry and Cindy and Mike, and sending them out, as a matter of fact, Sherry sent them out a list saying these are vacant houses. Now that's something that hasn't been done for a while. I'm not criticizing, I'm just saying that's the fact.
Okay, and then the last statement was about the toll fee utilizing that money to purchase cars.
Over the parents.
Okay, I'm not sure what year it was. It was back when Lahetta was acting or whatever, deputy or whatever, chief, that he came to the board and asked to have cars purchased. And we told him then that, we can use the tow money. I thought that was still going on. Obviously, it's not, because you're asking now to do that. But I think the board recommended, and correct me if I'm wrong, and the mayor was a trustee at the time, Rosie was a trustee at the time, I think Ed Myers was a trustee at the time, and they asked to have, he wanted to take, because we didn't have the money, so we told him if, it's not a mandate, but you can use the tow money to go ahead, and that's how that was the last time, as a matter of fact, we actually purchased cars. Since then, it hasn't happened. So I thought it was still ongoing, that they would take the toll money and put it, aside to use it for that reason, for purchasing and also for maintenance. I was shocked to see that you're going to try to implement it again because I thought it was still going on.
Well, it may be going on in terms of, I have filed the documentation, doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Well, if you asking for that, I would say that money is not being put aside. So if you're asking to have this done,
That's true.
then it hasn't, hasn't been done since that time. So I was kind of shocked to see that that wasn't done, but that's something that we had talked about years ago, and it should have been.
I heard that it had been talked about that, so I had accident, tried to look for something to find out it was there. We'll continue to look. If we're in the area, we find something, we will certainly report it, but that's what we're going to be looking at. And it's not anything new, I'm just saying.
No, I mean, I thought it was still, because like I said, we purchased, I think, 5 or 6 vehicles. And they did use that money for tow.
No, we didn't. Let's make sure we're clear that the last fleet of cars that we purchased, that was not purchased through the tow fund. What they did was they purchased some used cars from, I think it was Downers Grove. That gave you we got, I think, 2 squads, and we got 1 SUV that we used.
Oh, okay, yeah, that was from Fox.
That was from the tow fund. But our last fleet, which we're still paying on, I think we did it 2 years or 3 years ago. We have 2 more years to go. That did not come from the tow fund.
I thought the money that we got from,
No.
that Tim believed was, we collected.
No.
That vehicles were purchased from issue of credit, that means it was purchased on installment, lease installment.
Okay, I mean, then what did they do with the tow fund money? I mean,
There was
because
there was no money at the time when we purchased on installment.
because he came to this board and said that we told him we didn't have the money and so.
No, we didn't have money.
Right, so then what was the?
Purchased on lien.
Okay.
Or, lease, I'm sorry.
Okay, I thought it was, and I know Mr. Myers, Trustee Myers was on the board at the time, and I know, that's what I was on the impression, but.
Our lease payment is what, $40-some thousand a year? 40, about 40,000.
But, we'll go back and look at it, but, like, for example, Chief Walton comes in and he got tires on his cars, and he has to buy tires, but, he got a special tire.
Oh, yeah.
And, you can't have the officers out driving those cars like that.
No, you're right, I mean, I haven't seen any new vehicles in a few years.
I'm
You're absolutely right.
We found that we have something wrong.
No, I was just saying, I thought that was still going on, but.
No. Trustee Myers.
All right, you can find that just prior to the budget, because I specifically asked that question during budget review last year. I asked us, is the tow fund going to be part of the general fund, or will the tow fund be a separate, where the police department can use that to purchase items for new cars or parts and stuff? I was informed, sir, that we all was informed, that it would be a separate item, and everything tow will go in that item. Now, what happened to it, I don't know, but I can rest assure you, I will find those minutes that, Chief Holder stood right there and asked us, and we said, that we will put it in a separate fund, but you can use it. We voted on it, and it was part of the budget also. I will get that information for you.
So, if we have an ordinance, that would be, the way to bring it forward. I mean, better than I do.
It was in budget hearing. I do not believe there was a ordinance prepared for it, but it was specifically stated and agreed upon by this board at that time that the tow fund money will be kept separate. But there was an incident happened, which I will not go into. There was an incident happened, and that's where it made us to go to a separate fund for the towing ordinance. So as far as I'm concerned, the towing ordinance still should be a separate line item. The police department, when they tow a car, that money goes in that. And then the chief of police has a right to come before this board and ask if he can use a tow fund, I believe it said, or to purchase a car or parts or whatever. And that's, I will find those things for you, sir.
Mr. Fairman and Mayor, where does the tow fund money go now?
I've always thought that knew us, that it's still alive. And if it isn't, then is there a line item for tow?
There is a line item, but the money what we have collected so far has been put into general fund. And Yes, it was put into general fund. Since I came on board, the money that was collected was put into general fund. There was no specific separate one called tow fund or something like that that was maintained by it. There was no such account from the bank.
Okay, so because that's been at least the last 2 years that I know of. Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Right. But we're still purchasing tires and repairing vehicles, and so, and that's coming out of general funds, that money.
Yes, but that's been paid off by the general,
Yeah.
whatever.
And I'm sure we can look back at all the extra repairs and stuff that we've done and probably look at how much money came in. So, right. Anything else? Just
Mr. Barrett, I'm a little confused. You talked about water accounts, $400 or more. I think you said 400 to 1,000. What has happened that people are being permitted to run up bills that high?
I have the same question, but this has been going on for years, as far as I can see. So that, all I'm trying to do is resolve it. I could say we don't have staff, I don't know, I wasn't here. I'm just saying this is what I found so far today. So obviously we're not collecting it, or in some way organized fashion.
So are you working on something to make sure this does not happen going forward?
Well, yeah, we're shutting off people's water accounts and telling them, matter of fact, we collect $59,000 a day. My point being, we have to be consistent about this in terms of making sure that it doesn't get this far. Because I think we have 30-some accounts for like 160,000, 180,000, or something like that. In other words, we're trying to catch up with what I found, what Sheridan would show me that, and a big thing going toward it is you got passed an amendment where the owners will get the letters, be responsible for the deal. So sometimes people have lied understood, and I found out. Doesn't mean it's all inclusive. That people have, they move in the first house and move out. So, the owners are the ones that are going to have to be responsible.
So what is the cutoff point? That's what I'm trying to find out. Since it has been done in the past, what has been established now going forward? That we don't have people owing $1,000.
We are monitoring these reports. We are monitoring the actual reports that we have of people coming here every day. And we're trying to we're not letting it get that far. We're going to be cutting it off. You need to know that. Some of these people are coming in now that have owed this money, and now we're contacting them and telling them. We're also going to do another thing, and that is like we do on a mortgage. We're going to say your water bill, is this. It's due by this day. This is the day to do. At this day is a past due date. And at the other, then we're going to put it on that same bill. By this day, we're going to shut the water off. We don't have any choice because right now what we're doing is we're actually doing sending people notices out, saying, your water's going to be shut off. Now, every place I checked on it and where I live also has said, they give you that same thing. Bam, bam, bam. They cut it off. So,
I'm still trying to get an answer. What is the cutoff point that you're going to utilize? What's the dollar amount?
We haven't gotten to that point right now. This is like collecting money right now.
All right. One other question kind of follow up on Mr. Mohan. And I know you took your direction from there, so I'm not pointing at you specifically. But I think if something is earmarked as being told funds, it should be placed in an account for that purpose. And as Trustee Meyer said, that should be accessible to the Chief of Police for utilization. I have a concern that you're taking money and throwing everything into the general fund, even though you're saying, I heard the village clerk say that things are being purchased anyway from that money. If it's for toll, that's where it should be. It should not be spread out to who knows how many accounts.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none, move to reports of trustees and board committees. Beautification Committee. Beautification Committee will host their annual spring cleanup on May 21st from 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. The committee will be posting flyers within the next couple of days with details. Any questions about the event, please contact Linda Todd at 708-758-3330 and leave a message that you need to reach out to her. All right, with that said, move to Parks and Recs Committee, Trustee Jones.
There has been flyers going around. They have been passed out to the schools for the open gym on Saturday, starting at 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. There will be light refreshments starting from 50 cents to $1. There is also a parental consent on the bottom for the kids that should bring this with them also. There will be basketball from 11, team board games, jump rope competition, individual. 12-15, there will be team basketball, 13 and older, youth games and competition, line dancing at 12:30 with Miss Tina. And then we're going to have a double dutch contest at 1:30. And then we will be presenting awards for those individual contests at 2:30. Look forward to seeing you out there. I'll see you Saturday. That's it.
Trustee Jones, do you have any other events coming up?
We have Easter that's coming up.
Do you have a date for that?
We're still finalizing it. But we're working on it as we have.
It's what, it's a month away?
Yeah.
You have no dates or times or?
Yes, we have dates and times that we have talked about, and it'll be finalized next Thursday at the committee meeting.
And those were talked about during committee meetings?
Yes. Yes, it was spoken during last committee meeting. Last two committee meetings, we spoke about several upcoming events, and Easter was definitely, we spoke about that for the last two meetings.
Usually on the Easter event, it's usually like a 2 or 3 month planning session.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for at least 2 months now. Yeah.
All right, Public Works Committee, Trustee Bridges.
Thank you, Mayor. On the Public Works Committee, I just want to clarify some things. Me and my co-chair, we meet every second Wednesday. I have an agenda, always have had an agenda, always take minutes. Instead of me having 3 and 4 meetings, I see some people may or whatever, I try to keep it because I don't want the people to be just sitting there. At the beginning of the meeting, me and the co-chair go over some things that we like to discuss, and we go over the agenda that we're going to present. Then we have our meeting of the whole or subcommittee, whatever happen you guys want to put that in the category. I don't know, because like I said, this is something that is new to me. But this is the first time that since I've been a trustee that we've had a co-chair, and then you have to have a separate meeting, and you know. But anyway, I do have minutes. I was told that we shouldn't turn those in once a year, that the clerk didn't want them each and every month, so I held them off. And quite naturally, the agendas are posted in Village Hall each and every month that I have a meeting. So if anybody needs a copy of those, they're there in Village Hall, or I have copies. But I'd like to say this. I did not know that we passed an ordinance that augments the augments the trustee's salary. Trustees get their salary based on board meetings, committee meetings, and then your subcommittees. That's the way I've always seen. I've never seen any amendment to that particular ordinance since I've been a trustee. Now I'm getting the understanding that you have to have separate minutes for this, or, you know, it was passed. That part I didn't see passed. I didn't see a ordinance for it, and I'd like to find out where that ordinance is, because I never seen that. We did vote on committees and subcommittees, but that's about it. But I thought you couldn't augment salaries while the standing board, just like the mayor, you can't augment his salary while he's in office, and you can't augment and change the salary of the village clerk while they're in office. You can vote for the next time before the election, but once it's set, it's set. So this where this is coming from, this is new, because if your co-chair is not there to meet with you or whatever, then you don't have a meeting. And I think that that shouldn't be right. But it's something I think this board needs to either have an amendment or ordinance written to say that or not. And now as far as my committee, like I stated, we meet every second Tuesday. We met this second Tuesday. We had our agenda. We've asked, and this is something I want to find out. I want to go on record right now, because I did ask that question last week, but I didn't get an answer. I gave Mr. Fairman, the mayor, and Kevin Weller an invitation. I put it in the box of Kevin Weller and Mr. Fairman. The agenda. On the agenda says that we were going to meet with the Public Works Director, which is Kevin Weller. I did not receive a phone call, a letter, pigeon, nothing. No one informed us. We sat there waiting. Quite naturally, we went on with the meeting. But someone could have told me that Kevin wasn't going to be there. Last time we invited Kevin out, it was told us that he won't be there. This time was nothing told us. So I guess someone asked the question, what does Public Works do? We can't do anything if we have people blocking us. If we have people saying, okay, well, this is the way it's going to be, or I'm going to help run your meeting, or I'm going to give reports of what's going on in Public Works. So if it's going to be redundant, this happened under Lewis Towers when I had economic development. He would give a report before me because he comes on the agenda before I do, and report on what I'm supposed to report on. So why would I just go over the same thing with what the mayor at the time went over? We talked about this, and I've asked him, why am I on this? Why is this committee existing if you're going to report for this committee? And this is the same question I'm asking you, Mayor. Why did you form this committee if you don't give us a chance to at least talk to the Public Works Director? We were trying to set up a meeting that we could at least go see the waterworks so people can see, because a lot of people have questions. So the more people that you educate and the more people that you let know what's going on, the more they can tell the people instead of hearsay. That was the reason for that. But to sit up and just regurgitate the same thing that was said a little while ago from someone, then it doesn't make sense. So I'm just asking tonight, and I asked you at the meeting last week about coming in and talking to me and me and Trustee Jones, because last week you were there. You were in the building when we had our meeting Wednesday. Did you stop in to say anything? Did you walk past? Did you come in and say, okay, this is not the way it is, or how are you doing this? Nothing. But then you want to come back and say that we're still in money. We'll come back and say that we owe the village money. I know where you're going with this. Don't forget, I've been a trustee for a while too. I know exactly where you're going for this, and the lawyers do too. Because you cannot owe money if you plan on doing anything, which in this particular case, I don't plan on doing anything right now, so it doesn't bother me. But I just want to know why this is going on, why when I try to talk to Public Works or talk to someone in Public Works, they're stopped. And also, you yourself as mayor, am I boring you? You yourself when you talk to me, I look at you. But you yourself as mayor, to stop something like that, Mr. Mayor, I think is really, really wrong. Because we're a committee. I got people on the committee that were looking forward to asking questions of the Public Works. Kevin came to one, and they asked him intelligent questions, and he gave good answers. He gave good answers. This is what the committee is for, so they can find out what's going on, so they can pass the word on to the village, also to the other residents that are not able to make it. That's what I think committees are for. So you can have a core group of people that would go back out and educate the other ones that are not involved, and to get more volunteers. But if you try to do something, and then you're not supported by the mayor, who came up with this committee in the first place, and who came up with who of the people that's going to be on that committee, but then you're going to go back and report for this same committee. I really don't understand that, and I wish that I can get an answer, a visit, an audience, because I understand now you cannot meet with 2 trustees and the mayor at the same time, so I don't know how we're going to do this. I don't know how that's going to happen, but so I guess one time we can do it is here, and that's why I brought it here, because we're at the village of the whole, and we're at a board meeting, and it's open. So I can't go to your office with the co-chair and sit down and talk, because that's violating. So I just want to know how and what do you plan on doing as far as allowing Kevin to come and talk to us. Thank you.
All right, see if I can answer these questions for you. Department heads, you're retired. Department heads work throughout the day. You can always stop in, you can talk to Kevin. I've never stopped at the department head talking to a trustee. Get your questions. If he asks, they'll come up, get the answers, you get the answers. But what you're asking for is the department head to come in on their own time, to come in here at 7 o'clock at night, leave their home, leave their family, to come in and meet with your committee. So you can meet with Kevin, ask him your questions, get your questions, you can go back to your committee and answer those questions, okay? To tell someone to come here, leave their home, leave their family, to come in here and have a meeting late at night. Other committees had their meetings on Tuesday nights before the village board meeting. So, like the police department committees and things like that, they would have their meetings at 6 o'clock on a Tuesday night, so when the police chief could come in, he could come in and meet with those committees. You might want to consider doing something like that, because we know that on village board meeting nights, we know the department heads are here, and they usually come in early. So, first of all, I'd suggest that you go talk to them during working hours. Have your meetings during working hours, and that way he can come and be here during the day. All right? So that's the first thing. All right. The second thing is you asked about the ordinance. The ordinance is 15-010. You approved it. You signed off and said yes.
As far as the money, or was it for co-chair?
We're going over standing committees. Okay. Standing committees is 2 trustees. That's your committee meeting.
Okay.
That's what you get paid for. It's what you've always got paid for. That's what you're getting paid for when you give your
Where
reports.
does it say that you have to have a
standing
separate meeting and separate minutes and separate agenda for just you and your co-chair? Where's that at?
That's called the Open Meetings Act.
Where is that at though?
Talks about how the meetings of standing committees should be held on the call of the chairperson of the committee at such time and place designated, call in accordance with local ordinances and the Open Meetings Act. It makes it very clear. The chair is responsible for notifying the village clerk in writing of all meetings at the beginning of the year to notify if dates are changed and to notify if dates have changed prior to the meeting dates. The chair is responsible for posting and verifying timely posting of all meetings in accordance with local ordinances and the Open Meetings Act. I think everyone in here should have taken the Open Meetings Act, so you know exactly what you're supposed to do. Now, it also talks about subcommittees. Now, you're getting paid for your standing committee, okay? Your standing committee is the 2 trustees. That's what you're being paid for. It makes it very clear under subcommittees. It says from time to time, as needed, the chairperson of a standing committee may appoint or dismiss a subcommittee made up of village residents to assist the committee in its work. Subcommittees shall not be compensated and shall only be advisory. Subcommittee chairpersons shall be appointed or removed by the committee chairperson. This is an ordinance that you passed.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to the subcommittees, it makes it very clear inside the ordinance, you don't get paid for your subcommittees. Your subcommittees are advisory committees only.
I know that. I'm just saying.
And every committee may not need a subcommittee. So when you think of Parks and Recs may have a subcommittee for the Easter egg hunt, or may have a subcommittee for other events, and then those subcommittees would serve, and the people volunteers would serve on those committees to help get events and stuff going on. So, you know, when you talk about, again, I don't understand why Parks and Recs, why Public Works would need a subcommittee unless you've got something going on that you plan on doing. Your committee is you and your trustee.
And then that's what we do. Me and my trustee meet.
So, and that's your committee, that's what you're getting paid for.
But then again, well, the co-chair doesn't get paid for that committee, he gets paid for the committee chairs.
Correct, and every trustee has got a committee
I
that they chair.
understand that, but my question is still remains, where does it say that you have to, my committee, my co-chair and I meet every second Tuesday of the month? Okay, where does it state that if which we do give minutes and we do have an agenda. Now, if my subcommittee chairman is not able to meet at that time, and we have another time, what's wrong with people sitting down? Because people came to my committee and took pictures, whatever. Maybe that's where you're getting this from, because you yourself haven't stopped in. So maybe the day that we was blessed with the presence of someone taking pictures of it, maybe that's how it went back. But we speak first, then we have our meeting. Now, we don't have to, it does not say that you have to meet at Village Hall. It does not say that you have to meet in any of the governmental buildings. So we can meet at any time, but I don't do that. I do it formally.
I think you have to be very careful how you say that, because Open Meetings Act, you have to be accessible for the public to
But
meet.
you just got through saying that.
And you have to have an agenda.
Yes.
You have to have an agenda
And
posted.
and it's posted.
With a location.
It's posted.
You know, so, and I think if you remember, part of the Open Meetings Act training we had talked about how one town wanted to have meetings at someone's house, and it was not accessible to the public. That
But
you
my
cannot do.
meetings are open to the public, and I say it every time that I have a board meeting or committee meeting. It's open to the public. The doors are open. You know, they can come right to the back. As a matter of fact, they come into the back. So I don't understand where this is coming from, because my meetings have always been open, and I've always had the public come in, and I do have people on my subcommittee, because we do other things than just public works. But my question still remains, why are you giving reports? And the reason why I wanted to meet with Kevin did come out. All of these department heads come out twice a month, especially the ones that are on salary. So if Kevin had a problem with coming out on Tuesday, I'm sure Kevin can tell me, he's a grown man, that there is not a good time for me to come out on this particular night. I can meet at another time. I invited him. I invited him before. He came out. He never told me not one time that, well, I can't make it because I have to do this, and I can't come. He was specifically told not to come. Specifically told not to be, not to come, and I gave him a list of questions. And the very first time I had a meeting, and we just wanted some feedback from him. That list of questions those answers went to you. You reported most of those things that I wrote down, and I didn't even get a copy of the questions, the answers. But you reported on those questions that this committee and the subcommittee, as you call it, came up with. That's why I don't understand. All of a sudden now, it's not illegal, but now the committee that we have no say. So why would you want to have somebody be a volunteer for a committee that they're not even involved in, that you don't even, I don't understand why you can say, well, you don't even have to have a subcommittee. People want to come out, they volunteer. Yes, we do other things than just sit there and talk. We wanted to talk, we wanted to ask his advice. As a matter of fact, we asked him, how can we enhance, what is it that we need to do that we can go back as trustees to the board and enhance? I don't know if that was ever told to you, but we asked that question. We just want follow-ups on certain things, but then I get the next board meeting, you reported on what he came up with, or what was asked about him. And I didn't even get a report from Public Works to find out what was going on. I'm finding out at the same time the residents are at the regular board meeting what's actually going on. But it's called a Public Works Committee. I don't understand that. So that's why I was asking. That's the reason why I wanted to know what direction are we supposed to go? We talked about this even before. Mayor, when you gave these committees out, we were having meetings, you told us that was wrong. You can't have those meetings because this is not what I want this committee to do. So next time, if you want a committee, please let us know. Because we asked, what do you want us to do? We weren't even sanctioned. How can we not be sanctioned and you appointed this committee? We weren't even sanctioned at the first 3 months. We met and you said, oh, but that's illegal. You guys not even sanctioned yet. If you were not sanctioned, then why did you appoint a committee and not recognize it?
Anything else?
Oh, no.
Trustee Burgess, I'm sorry. Trustee Burgess, a couple times you mentioned Tuesday nights, your meetings are on Wednesday, right?
Okay, I'm sorry.
I just want
Apples
to-
and oranges, potato. No problem. But I mean, I did make a mistake on that, but I wasn't, thank you very much for that.
And just so we're clear, on that ordinance number, it's 15-010. All right, move to item D, Housing Intergovernmental Committee, Trustee Tate.
Just a couple of introductory items. Trustee Burgess, back in June of last year, the mayor put out a directive. He said the trustees could not meet with staff employees if it takes them away from their normal duties. So I don't see how you can meet with Mr. Weller regarding things that you want to do or your committee wants to do, and it doesn't take him away from his normal duties. So that's just for your information. But that was something the mayor put out in June of last year. Okay, the Intergovernmental Committee has not met, but plans to meet because we could address something with School District 168. And I've been asked a couple of times about that, and I apologize to them. I'm just putting it off until we address some other issues. But the Intergovernmental Committee will meet, and the school district will be invited to come to that meeting. For the Housing Committee, last year we had a workshop, and it was for first-time home buyers. And I was advised along the way that there were 3 people who were in the process of closing their homes in Sauk Village based on what they had learned at the workshops. And I think it's a positive thing because it reduces our vacancy rate. And it certainly helps School District 168 because these were young families with children. And if they buy a home in Sauk Village, hopefully they'll stay here and the children are stable. They won't be bounced in and out the school district, and the school district doesn't see that mobility rate as it is now. One thing that was learned during this process was that some of the people responsible, we mean builders and loan officers, and that group of professionals were not totally aware of what was available, so that they could advise people when they came to their offices of what they needed to do or what they needed to look forward to. So based on us finding that out, we felt there was also a need to educate those professionals just a little bit on some things and let them educate us what we need to do to help resolve some of the vacancies we have in Sauk Village. That being said, on March 2nd at 6:30, we're going to have a workshop, a housing committee workshop, where we're going to invite some people in to speak and educate realtors, loan officers, whomever's involved in the housing process, advise them on do's and don'ts, what they can and cannot do, what information is available. And I think just collectively, by bringing in professionals and having a dialogue with them, having the workshops for John Doe citizens, and I should say John and Jane Doe citizens, to come in so that they can find out what they can do to become homeowners. I think this is a win-win situation. We're trying to educate both sides of the coin, and I think Sauk Village will benefit from it if we're successful in doing that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Move to Public Safety and Ordinance Review Committee, Trustee Myers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to point to trustee Tate's report. Those workshops are good. I mean, we've had them here before. They do help, and with the homes available on this town, like you said, I see we won't lose that. It will be a win-win thing. With that, Mr. Mayor, I have a couple items. The ordinance committee meeting will be on March 10th. We're going to be reviewing a ordinance that the chief of police will be explaining to the board tonight, so I won't elaborate on it any more than that. But it's something that I feel that will help out the entire community, and it's something that we should have done a long time ago. And I will let the chief take right out on his report. All right. Tonight, I don't know, I kind of proud to hear tonight because we're presenting an ordinance, regardless if it fails or passes. It's not the case. Ordinance that the entire committee, this board, worked together on and got a census that to present it out tonight. And people, it proves that the board can work together. And I think this ordinance that we're going to bring up tonight answers everybody's questions. We had comments from all the trustees. It's proved that we can work together. Art, I love you like a brother, man. I really, really hate to see you go, but I know it's good for the family. I want to miss you. You and I grew up in this town together. We've gone to hundreds of schools together in classes. We've seen some bad things, we've seen some good things. But brother, I'm gonna miss you. Keep in touch.
I'm still going to be around a couple more weeks to help out. This is to make the transition with Aiden and the departments before I go. So I'm still around, I'm still available by phone. So in fact, I'm going to pass on some information to Kevin Waller that I received the other day. So.
God bless you and your family both. Be safe. On the last note, Mr. Mayor, tonight, I'm sadly to say that we don't have a resident in the audience that usually hasn't missed a meeting, and unfortunately, he went home last week Thursday. That's Travis Thornhill. He was a fire chief in this town. He was one of my fire chiefs I had, and the man taught us a lot. The man loved this town. The man respected each and every person he talked to. But he's another one that this entire town is going to miss. And he's at home in peace now. And with that, that's all I have now.
Thank you, trustee.
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee.
Trustee Myers, the new ordinance, do you have copies? Oh, tonight, because I picked it up yesterday.
We went through it late last night before the final, and we did it. You need one now?
Yeah, I don't have a copy, is what I'm saying.
I think I have an extra one. Mr. Tate said, Trustee Tate said he will make a copy of it.
Yeah, just because I didn't go to my box. I went out to see yesterday.
I thought you all would you guys before the meeting. I'm sorry.
No, I thought everything was there yesterday. I was here yesterday.
They didn't need to hear.
Right. I thought maybe they had a copy already. Okay.
All right. Move to Neighborhood Watch, Trustee Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to make an announcement tonight that Neighborhood Watch meet every second Monday at the fire station at 7 o'clock. We are still looking for people that they want to be Black Club captains. If you think you're interested and know someone on your block that will serve as a good Black Club captain, you can let them know that we meet at the fire station every second Monday of the month at 7 o'clock p.m. Currently, the Neighborhood Watch is actively having rehearsals for our upcoming live play that's going to be at Rickover Junior High School on April the 15th at 6:30. And the ticket donations are $10 for adults, for children 5 to 12, $3, and children 5 and under are free. This play is one of our kickoff fundraisers in an effort to double our back-to-school book bags from 250 to 500 book bags with supplies for Sauk Village children that attend our 3 schools in 168 and also students that attend Bloom Trail High School. I'm happy to announce that we've been able to contact the different schools, and I talked with the different principals at the school board meeting last night, and the play is going to be very exciting, and we're looking forward to number 1. The play is going to give us a chance to have the community to get involved and to come out and get to know each other. I see our block club captains are here tonight. A lot of them are tonight getting lists on their blocks of different people that want to participate in the play. And I just want to say that before I became a trustee, I had an organization that we formed that was a forum for residents to come to be able to voice their opinions and to talk as long as they wanted to talk, and they could ask questions, anything that they wanted to ask. And we had a panel from the school board, from the churches, from the library, from housing, and also trustees. And it was a very good organization. I was not an elected official, I don't believe at that time, from housing, but we met at the community center. And it was a very well-ran program. Most of the trustees did come to the meeting, and residents came to the meeting, but it got to a point where we were told we had to pay to use the community center to have that program. At that particular time, we were not prepared financially to pay to use the community center, so we stopped having those meetings. And we had a lot of feedback from residents that missed the meetings that we had, and that's when I really learned about sanctioned committees as well as just residents that wanted to do something good in the community, for the community that they felt. I felt that bringing leadership from different entities in one place where residents could come and have everybody present was a great thing, and it was well received. I'm confused because now there are residents in the village that have a great idea, but they want to have forums to bring residents together and allow them to talk in different avenues. And I mean, it's just a travesty that we have to bump heads trying to use the same facilities at the same time. So I need some clarity. What is the difference in having a sanctioned committee that's sanctioned by the board to operate, even in terms of being to display your advertising on the marquee, to be able to use the entities for the government to have your meetings if the village has sanctioned your committee, as opposed to just a resident that want to do something really, really great that the community could benefit from, but it's not sanctioned. And I'm saying that because when I went to the schools and wanted to use the auditorium, if the basketball team or the volleyball team or whatever the school was doing in that district, I couldn't use that gym. I had to work around their schedule. So it just seems to me being a sanctioned committee really means nothing. If somebody else wants to do something and it's a good idea and they just want to do it, they have no consideration for you being sanctioned by the board to operate your committee. And I guess I just need some clearance in that. And I hear residents get up and say, I pay my taxes, I pay money, I'm a big taxpayer, I can use any building I want to, I can use the retirement at the village hall, I can use the community center, I can do anything I want to, but my tax dollars, we're paying our tax money, and taxes also go for these schools. Taxes go for the library. But I don't see nobody going over there to that library telling them, we're going to use that conference room because our taxes go for the library. Or going to the school board meetings and telling the superintendent or the board at the district for the schools, we want to use the gym Saturday to have an open gym to have basketball or just whatever we want to do because our taxes go for the school. But it looks like people just pick on the village hall and the community center and the senior building. And it's just an observation that some residents have come to me with. These are questions and concerns that residents have called me with. Trustee Washington, what about this? What about that? So Mayor, I don't know if you can clear up what is the difference, of having a sanctioned committee or just having residents in the village that want to do something good and pull residents together. Finally, I want to announce that we are going to have 3 tag days like we do every summer, and we are also going to have our volunteers to come and go shopping with us. They want to shop for the book bags, and parents are already calling and enthusiastic about the book bags. It's a travesty that some people are so blessed and so rich that they don't care about mothers, single families that have 4 and 5 children that want to go to school and can't afford a book bag and supplies to go in the book bag. I don't have any children that attend these schools. My neighborhood watch block club captains, we have stood in 91-degree weather last summer. From 7 o'clock a.m. to 11, they came back out there with our treasurer, Arlene. They count that money. People are volunteering their time, and people are making fun about it, talking about it like it's nothing, but I can bring you parents that really appreciate what we're doing. So I want to say to the Block Club captains, and for those that may not be even coming to the plate, but you say, Trustee Washington, Trustee Meyer, that's my call. I will donate $10 for a ticket. I had somebody give me $20. I'm not committed to Trustee Washington, but here's $20 for 2 tickets for the play. And I just appreciate the community rallying behind the cause. Like I said at the school board meeting last night, these are not my students. I don't have to have a play to promote nothing Linda want to do. We are raising these book bags fees to help residents in Sauk Village. Every book bag will be given to residents that live in this village. So I hope that you all that are not planning on coming, number one, will stop putting poison on the program, because you're not hurting me. You're hurting the children that we're trying to provide a service for, and these parents that's working hard that need help getting those kids out of the house into school with school supplies the first day. And if you don't want to come, just make a donation. You can pay it at the front hall. You can give it to Trustee Myers or any Block Club captain or myself. And Mayor, if you could clear up the difference in a sanction committee and just a committee that a resident want to hold for themselves, whether they have to pay to use the building so they can just use it whenever they want to. I know there was a calendar put up, and I know we had talked about a calendar that you could go and look at to see what days things were taken, because I don't want to have all these confrontations with residents coming and we're having rehearsal and something else is scheduled, something else is going on, and we've been announcing this since November. I don't like bumping heads in front of residents to make them think that we're not organized, and everything that we're all supposed to be doing is for the benefit of the village and the children. So I'm just asking for cooperation with that.
Sauk Village currently has 2 areas that can be rented. That is the community center and the senior center. Senior center is a little bit different. It's rented out to seniors. The community center is under a village policy, and all the trustees have got a copy of the policy so they understand what happens. Standing committees have always taken preference. So when someone comes in and asks to rent the community center, there's a calendar of events. The standing committees have always, especially when it's the events and programs and stuff for the community. So just so we're clear that both these areas to be used, they have to be rented. And I've said it before. All right. Move to Budget, Finance, Community Relations Committee, Trustee Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Budget and Finance Committee did meet yesterday, and we addressed a couple items that we were looking to do. We spoke about the third quarter for the budget for this year. The finance director, because he's still working on that project as well as the 2016-17 budget, he was not prepared to speak with us at this time about the third quarter budget. He's still reconciling for December and January. So we will be discussing that at our next meeting, trying to get through, since we're already in the middle to the end of February, and he's trying to stay on track for our annual budget. We also spoke about, at our last committee meeting with the auditor president, Trustee Burgess brought up the concern he had regarding hand checks being on accounts payable. After that meeting, I did email the committee and asked, based on Trustee Burgess' concern, and based on what the auditor stated, she stated that she wasn't familiar with how we did things in our policy, but in her opinion, that it may not have been the best idea to put hand checks on accounts payable. So we did discuss how to move forward with that. And I know that I received an email from the finance director today with a proposed document that will be moving forward in the future, which we discussed yesterday, regarding hand checks. And once the email is submitted to the board approved, and he will be accompanying the accounts payable with this sheet, which is a separate sheet, titled something separately, that will let the board know what the hand check was for, what account it came out of, and what date it was approved on. That way we still have the documentation and the finance director during his report at that time will be providing the information to the board, but we'll have the written documentation that it was in fact sent out for a consensus to the board to make sure that we have those in our records. Like I said before, the finance director has been working on the 2016-2017 budget, and he has figured that he's completed his section. And I know at this point, we're right on schedule then for where he wants to be. The mayor at this point stated that he wanted to look at this budget, make any changes or corrections, or have time to kind of go back with the finance director. And then, from what I understand, we're still on target to review that budget as a committee mid-March.
Correct.
And then, as far as the coverage street, we did receive submissions for the village sticker program, and we're in the process of selecting the winner. So we look forward to presenting that soon. And as a committee, as the chair and any other committee member, we have not received any information or no response from District 168 from the letter that we submitted to them for Student Government Day. So at our next meeting, we will discuss how to move forward with that with Student Government Day without the response and what we should be doing in the future. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you, trustee. Move to reports of departments, committees, and commissions. Fire Department, 911 Commission, Chief Stockbridge.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. Over the past 2 weeks, Fire Department responded to 34 calls. 4 vehicle accidents, 6 fire alarms, 13 medical assists, 3 COs, 2 smell of gas, assist another agency twice, 1 structure fire, 1 car in the house, 1 brush fire, and 1 vehicle fire. Also, I would like the mayor and the board to know that we received 5120 back. It's all back in service, all minor and major repairs were complete. And lastly, Art, we'll miss you. Have a lot of fond memories, a lot of sad memories. Every retirement to you and Sue. And then that's my report.
Thank you, Chief. Move to Police Department, Chief Kowalski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, trustees. Police service for the past 2 weeks had 11 arrests, 10 misdemeanors, 1 felony, and the investigators secured 2 felony warrants for individuals not yet in custody. We've had 530 calls for service for the past 2 weeks. Some cases of interest. On February 13th, officers were called to the 2100 block of 223rd for domestic disturbance. The officers arrived, and the victim explained that the offender was verbally abusive to her. Victim advised she'd signed complaints. The subject was arrested and processed at the police station and transported to Cook County Jail. On the 14th, officers were called to the 2400 block of Tolandis for domestic disturbance. Officers arrived and were met by the victim, who stated her boyfriend grabbed her by the throat, and she was able to break away. Subject was arrested and taken to the police station for processing and the county lockup at Markham for bond hearing. On February 18th, the investigators, following up on a burglary investigation, were able to obtain positive information from evidence obtained from the scene. Those evidence were fingerprints and were linked to a subject known to the investigators. They arrested the individual and he was charged with felony theft over $300. I'd like to say that the police department, working with the Sauk Village Housing Commission, was assisted on identifying houses slated for demolition and allowed the South Suburban Emergency Response Team to use those homes that were going to be demolished for training. So if you saw a lot of police officers in fatigues running around town and in back of the police department, that was the South Suburban Emergency Response Team that had some great training where they could use the tools of the trade and teach some of the younger officers who are on that team entry into homes and breaching techniques and some other techniques. It was training that took place over the past 2 days, and it was very much appreciated by over a dozen of the police department, neighboring police departments that are on the team. I'd like to say that the Chicago FBI is holding a basic crisis negotiation course, which addresses the training needs for law enforcement with responsibilities for hostage and crisis negotiations and critical incident management. Training includes fundamentals of crisis negotiations, responsibilities of personnel at such incidents, negotiation techniques and policies, role-playing exercises, and case studies. Instructors are negotiators from the FBI, and we have been invited to send 2 of our officers to this training. It's a 40-hour training class in June. The beauty of it is free. So we've identified 2 of our officers who will be going to that training. We've also forwarded that opportunity to our neighbors at the Steger Police Department, and they were very gracious, and they're also sending an officer to that type of training. We're also finalizing a 2-day training course to be held here in at the police department, put on by the FBI's evidence recovery team for evidence recovery for our evidence technicians. We're finalizing the dates. It'll be a 2-day course in April, and we're also inviting some of the local law enforcement partners to attend that with us. Again, that's free training also. Enbridge Pipeline Project concluded on Wednesday, February 17th. Our police department assisted with securing the equipment during the non-working hours. The project was completed without incident, and the company was grateful for the service they received. I'd like to note that it was my honor to attend the Bloom Trail High School annual JROTC military inspection on Friday, February 19th. I was invited by Mr. Zachary Ayers. The members of the ROTC conducted their drills, and they did a great job. It was truly an honor and my pleasure to attend that event. And last but not least, as Trustee Myers alluded, Sergeant Mizak has arranged that on March 19th, the South Suburban Low-Cost Animal Clinic will be at the police department providing veterinary care for pets of residents in Sauk Village. The veterinarians will administer vaccinations for your pets, and your pets can be checked by a licensed veterinarian at that event. It'll take place at the police department, and what we're trying to work on now with Trustee Myers and with the board's approval is anyone who comes to that and gets their pet vaccinated, that we waive the Sauk Village tag fee. This would encourage individuals to bring their pets, get them vaccinated, and have them registered with the village. It's a $7 fee for spayed and neutered, and it's a $10 fee for non-spayed and neutered. And I think if we can encourage individuals who live in town to get their tags and to have their animals registered, I think that'd be a great thing. So I'll be working with Trustee Myers to amend the ordinance for that one day, March 19th. We're finalizing the hours, but it should be from 9 to 12. So I'm sure all the trustees and Mr. Mayor would agree that the more animals we get registered, the better off we'll be, and that it'll assist the police department, because we get at least one stray animal call a day. And with this, the more animals we get registered, we'll be able to take those animals straight to their owners or call their owners, and we won't have to take those dogs to any of the animal shelters. And that concludes my report.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Kowalski, I want to talk about one big accomplishment. I'd like you to talk about that, Mr. Kowalski.
So, as I was on the internet today, we found that Sauk Village is not one of the top 25 crime suburbs in the state of Illinois. So, I thought that was pretty good news. So, we're not in the top 25.
Thank you very much. Good news. Item C, Public Works Department, Director Weller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Reports from 2/8 to 2/19. All streetlights in Sauk Village have been replaced. We do have about a dozen locations that were on the back of the list of fault locations, wire issues. Those will be starting to be addressed day by day as we have staff out with weather conditions. Also, our day-to-day operations, we're making sure we set aside when needed emergencies to assist housing and to assist on the water shutoffs to get residents to comply with water bills and paying their way in Sauk Village. Buildings, we had a roof leak on this village hall here. The vendor came out, found a couple of locations on the roof. He did patch them, and staff is currently working on repairs to the drywall. Potholes in Sauk Village, this is the time of the year, they're going to start to really get crazy. We've had a really warm winter, and with the warm conditions, we have really swampy ground. If anybody stepped off into the grass, you know how far you sink in. That's the frost line underneath that. So right now, potholes are going to probably get a little crazier, but we have staff out when residents call. Right now, we're addressing individual locations, 223rd Street, Yates, Merrill, Orion, 219th Street. Those are calls that we currently took care of in the last 2 weeks. Water, we have our day-to-day operations, our emergency calls, and any resident who has a complaint on water, you just have to call the village hall, set up an appointment with the customer service, and they'll come out and talk to you about what your complaint might be. And we also started our north side shut-off list. We're currently working on that. Garbage cleanup with all the snow melting, which we don't have a lot, but the ground seems to pick up a lot more garbage. We did have a very windy event the other day. It did blow some of the papers out of town, but it also brought some in. So we ask residents again around their properties, please help us pick up by picking up your properties. Please do not dispose it into the street. The street sweeper will not be out until in the spring or April. Hydrants and valves. We currently repaired and replaced a fire hydrant 1839 223rd Street. Just to let everybody know, a fire hydrant isn't as simple as just digging in the ground and pulling the hydrant out, replacing it. Some conditions we may have to remove a tree that's growing next to the hydrant. We may have to remove sidewalk slabs. We may have to remove curb. We may have to make the hole a lot bigger for safety reasons. Once we get into the hole and down to the hydrant, we may have to replace a section of pipe, a T, or any miscellaneous other things that would be in there. So at 1839 223rd Street, we currently have a brand new hydrant. We did have to remove the tree. We did have to remove the sidewalk, so those will be future things we'll have to repair. But we are moving on. We have our next hydrant will be on Torrance Avenue. We have actually 2 of them. They're in front of Rickover School. Those will be our next 2 that we'll be locating and replacing. Also, vehicles in Sauk Village, we're still working with each department to assist as much as possible. We want everything to be safe. Anything we can't, we'll defer out to any other vendor that may be able to help, and we still will help the departments try to get those vehicles to the vendors needed. Sanitary sewer complaints, there was a concern about sanitary sewers. We roughly jet about 10,000 feet of sewer line a year. All residential complaints are addressed by village employees. They go to the site, they check the village mains out. The public works or the employees of this town do not put anything in the sewers. It's all residential stuff. All calls that are considered residential problems are usually an internal problem from the house to the sewer itself where it tees in. We let the resident know that they have to call a plumber out. The Line Saver program is basically to assist houses that are in older conditions with pipes that were put in under past codes. And it just assists on them having an easier way to either repair their line or have it rotted out cheaper than having to call a plumber out without having this insurance policy. Normal events, I've heard a few complaints in this last snow event we had. We have a mandate, our mandate's coming up through MWRD for chlorides, and our goal for chlorides is the salt and anything with salt product in it. So we have to use the amount we have to melt the snow, but it's not going to be the amount that somebody might look at and say the street needs to be completely clean. Once we put salt down, it's more than just putting the salt down. It's traffic load, it's the amount on each street, it's the sun during the day. All these things are contributing to the melting and the speed of that. So if we have a cooler day and we don't have a lot of traffic, the salt is down, it just has to be activated by traffic or sunlight. And that concludes my report.
And are you ready for the snow? Yes. All right, just so everyone knows that we do have a snow warning, I think it is, for tomorrow and into Thursday. So last I heard, and last I read, that tomorrow throughout the day, you're expecting anywhere in our area from 5 to 8 inches, with an additional of 1 to 2 inches on Wednesday night, and then snow the morning of Thursday. So make sure you're careful on the streets and on the roads, and make sure you yield to the snowplows. And I know Kevin, your department does a great job with our streets, so and they're out there tirelessly working when that snow starts to fall. So we appreciate everything that you guys are doing out there to make sure that residents can get from point A to point B. So,
Mr. Mayor.
Trustee.
Kevin, the cleaning, the sewer cleaning, is that done every year, correct?
Yes, we do.
Do you have because I know where I'm at, it hasn't been done in a while. Is there a schedule? Because I know they have to do so many areas a year. I know they probably can't get to the same one.
Most of our cleaning is done in the older sections of town where we have more issues. Some of the newer sections of town, we don't have any problems. We do inspect manholes in certain areas to make sure we don't have any buildup.
Okay. Okay, and then my second question, there are a lot of potholes over there in Deer Creek, and I don't know if you didn't say anything about, I heard before that we were on the list. Are we still on the list?
Yes, you are, and I just got a note just last week about it, so.
Okay.
As of before, they did patch some in Deer Creek a couple weeks ago, reported on that further in, and then some of the ones that recently, because the ground's been very soft, they're reopening.
Yeah, I mean, if it's gonna snow tomorrow, the snow will pack it in, but you know.
Well, we use cold patch, and the cold patch is a temporary patch. When you fill a hole in, if it's got a little bit of ice in the hole, which is this time of year, it will settle down. So as it settles down, it's a softer material, it doesn't harden up like in the summertime. So when you run it over, it's gonna start to break.
Right, so that's why I said probably won't do it until after the snow is over.
Yes.
Okay.
I got a question. As far as the pipeline insurance, can you explain exactly what is covered?
I can't give you the exact detail, but I'll give you an idea. Basically, it's a monthly fee. I believe it went up a little bit. It might be $6 a month. There's a sewer and there's a water line service warranty. Basically, the sewer line from the house to the main, where it tees off or terminates to our sewer main, it's across the street on your side of the street, so either side of the street. They will basically, within 2 hours of you calling them, you can have a plumber out that's on our list of plumbers, licensed plumber. They have to come out and evaluate the problem, and they have to start the process of opening your sewer. There is some parts of the contract that give you, if you find a problem within the sewer line and they can't open it, they will dig up to a certain dollar amount to do a repair on that line. And also, if they have to dig through a public sidewalk, there's some in there to replace the sidewalk in those conditions.
Thank you. Question?
Trustee.
Mr. Rowley and Trustee Burgess, I think started with it. Is there a schedule on the sewer cleanup?
Currently at this time, there's no running schedule, no.
Okay, when will that be developed or implemented?
That schedule is put together now with Robinson in our mandate.
All right, thank you.
Move to Administrative Service Director Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few things. The Pink Beauty Supply has received their business license and they're paid for their sign permits. They're on front of the building. The restaurant is supposed to be in sometime this week to get their business license and pay for their signs. I believe Mr. Myers has a fire inspection tomorrow for some of the repairs that they got cited for. To jump back to something that may help answer your question, Trustee Tates. When we were doing the vacant stickers, we compiled a list of houses that we put stickers on. And at that point in time, there was over 90 houses that we found that had squatters in them that didn't have water counts or occupancies. They just moved in. Today, we got that list down to 60. I sent out 60 letters at the end of the last week. And in regards to the squatters, we mailed the letters out, giving them to May 1st to contact me from office so I can direct them in what steps they need to take to get an occupancy and a water account to be in compliance with the village's ordinance. Monday, I received about 5 calls, so we are receiving calls on that list. Our first intention is to get that list down to 0, so everybody is paying the water bill and doing what they need to do. That's our priority right now. Secondly, there was 39 letters sent out to active water accounts that have extremely high water bills. I personally looked each one of those up and sent out letters to the homeowners, because some of them are rentals, totaling $95,787.63 they owe this village for past due water accounts. The only way to get that list down is to have those water accounts shut off, to get these people in to pay their bills. Due to Kevin's staffing and all the other jobs that Kevin has, we're having a problem with that. Working out manpower, because he doesn't have a full staff yet. So we're doing the best we can. That's our first step. The second step, we're talking about all the people that have active accounts that owe the village money. I started going through that and marking everybody with $400 or more that owes the village. We haven't gotten to that next step. Me and Reed are going to go over that. I couldn't produce that for him today because we're busy up front. It was really a busy day. We had, like JW said, $59,000 come through this front door today. So that's a plus for us. So we're working on getting that problem solved. It didn't happen overnight, and it's not going to get fixed overnight. This has been going on since, I don't know, probably 20 years. It's been going on the whole time that I've been here, and we've always tried to get it moving. Secondly, the FOIA logs and all the FOIAs are now placed on the village webpage. So everybody that wants to see what's being asked and answers that are being given, they can go on to the saukvillage.org page and click on the link, and it will open up the response to the question. I believe that will conclude my report.
All right. Thanks very much. Trustee?
Sherry, question. The Sauk Village Restaurant, that sign that they have on that building, not the one on the marquee, but the building, is that legal?
That's going to probably be, I haven't talked to them yet. That's probably just a temporary sign until they can get a regular sign up on the front of the building. When they come in to see me, we dropped off all the paperwork. I'm going to make sure that the signs are in compliance before any business license gets issued. They do have the right to have a temporary sign for a short period of time. So maybe they're getting a sign made, but I am going to have them pay up front for 2 signs that they have on the building and on the pole.
Thank you.
All right. Move to Finance Director, Mr. Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor and the board. There are a couple items. First of all, the Illinois TIF reporting has been submitted to the Illinois Comptroller's Office yesterday. And the next thing is the Cook County debt ordinance disclosure statement has to be filed. I'm working on it. Hopefully I should get it done by tomorrow afternoon. The last thing is, in order to make the payment, I have transferred about $100,000 from CM account into accounts payable account because I can't access with the Illinois Funds US Bank. I'm having some issues with the login password and other stuff. Once the login password has been set up and cleared, I should be able to access Illinois Funds money. That ends my report.
Mr. Mayor? Mohan, I do have a couple of questions. I don't know if you can answer it, but you are the finance director. Last Tuesday, we had a committee meeting, and all the trustees were here, and yourself was here. Wednesday, we get an email stating that we need to authorize payment or funds being transferred, and we get this in email. Did you know this Tuesday evening, because you gave us this email at 12 o'clock in the morning, or 12 o'clock p.m. That Wednesday. But did you know this Tuesday night, where you had all the board there, we could have had a special meeting or whatever, or not a special meeting, executive session, we could have at least given you the okay in person. My question is, did you know this Tuesday night that Wednesday morning that we needed money for payroll? Because as we all know, that payroll has to be in the Wednesday before because people that have automatic deposit, that money has to be in there before Thursday. And financially, it would have to be that Wednesday. So I'm asking you, did you know Tuesday night when we had our board meeting that you needed to get this money and you needed to get an authorization from the trustees?
Just so we're clear, you can't go into executive session over.
Okay, but then we could have been asked about it in person.
No, I just want to make sure we're clear, because you made a statement that we could have went into executive session and we could.
Well, we could have just asked right then and there while all the board was here, rather than wait and then get emails and a lot of people didn't answer, or some people did answer, or whatever, you know, for a handwritten, you know, not handwritten, I'm sorry, for the money to be taken out through consensus. I mean, so this is something that I'm asking, could that have been done Tuesday night? Did you know Tuesday night at the committee meeting last week that we had to pay this?
Was this the same issue you had where you cannot access the funds because of the?
There's some login problem. I tried and I could not figure it out. And I have spoken already to the US Bank. They will plan for it by tomorrow. And I should be able to log on.
Did you know this Tuesday night though? My question is, did you know this last Tuesday night at the committee meeting? Did you know that you couldn't get access?
No, I didn't know because we had transferred money for this Alcom payment.
Correct. I mean, you've asked that here the other day. I'm talking about the money that you asked for, $100,000.
I thought I could access the Illinois Funds Bank. Unfortunately, there was some problem. That's why it was a late realization.
Question.
Trustee.
You mentioned the transfer of $100,000 a few months ago. What is the schedule for repayment of that?
Once we get the tax money right away, the next morning I'm going to transfer back $100,000. So far, we have transferred about $100,000 from CN account. This is the second installment. Once we get the tax money, it will be immediately transferred right away the next morning.
Now that, I keep hearing tax money.
Tax levy money.
But I know, but it's on the way. My question is, we still have the issue of the $900,000 that was taken from water fund?
Yes, absolutely.
So that has to be paid back?
Yes.
In addition to the $100,000?
Right.
How much just roughly, how much do you expect to receive in tax money?
Get approximately about $1,700,000. Half of the tax levy.
Some of it may just be a little short.
Speaking of.
I'm being polite, Messi. Thank you.
Mohan, I'm looking, didn't we about a month ago take $100,000 out of CN?
Yes.
And now you're taking another $100,000?
Yes.
So this particular account, available cash as of, you have one there for CN, 133, so it's just 33 then?
Right.
Okay, because I was looking at that it's on here 133, but it's only 33. Okay.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, move to Sauk Village Homeland Security Agency Assistant Director, Armin Bennell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Board of Trustees. Over the past 2 weeks, IS has responded to 25 calls. The IS department responded to 6 fire alarms, 5 vehicle accidents, 2 smell of gas, 2 CO investigations, 6 school patrol, 1 vehicle fire, 1 structural fire, and 2 assistance agencies. And secondly, I have worked with Art Johnson for over 30 years, and I would like to commend him for all his service to Sauk Village Emergency Services. Thank you.
To Human Relations Commission, Commissioner Frank Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Art, for your service.
quick as I get sworn in, I promise you I'll do just as good as you did on your job. It's not too serious. The diversity dinner will not be held in Sauk Village this time. I have, if you want to go to one, you can see me and register to have one. The diversity dinner will be held April the 14th. And if you fill out the application, they will assign you to a person's house, either in Flossmoor, Olympic Field, or one of those suburbs. And we also will meet again the first Monday in March. We have a complete board, and hopefully next year that we'll be able to have it here in the village. So thank you. That's it in my report.
Thank you. Move to Housing Commission, Commissioner Holcomb.
No report.
Thank you. Senior Committee?
Mr. Mayor,
Trustee.
I just have a question for Mr. Holcomb. I know that you came back before the board at one time and was asking about the dumpsters that you were getting from Republic to assist you in doing the demolition of the different homes. How is that going? Are they? I know it's winter right now, but how is that going? As far as the money that you get, or the money that you ask the village for, and then you also get a reimbursed back from the state. Remember I asked you about that. I asked you how long it take to get reimbursed. So how is that going?
Okay, as I reported to the board last month, February 6th, we submitted for a drawdown, which we had discussed with the original plan for the county to pay the state to pay the drawdown. That won't be back before March 6th. We were informed this morning, actually Kevin was informed this morning, we couldn't have a dumpster because our bill was passed due. Mohan and myself did a little finagling. He talked to Ernie Lopez and Margaret, and they okayed us to get the dumpsters. There was a miscommunication between Ernie and them. But they're turned down the Cynthia house this week, and the police department will be finished this week with the two houses they're practicing in on Tolandis, and they will be coming down in the next 2 weeks. That's what a lot of people heard, the pops and explosions that were blowing out walls and stuff.
Okay. I just wanted to know an update because I noticed I've seen some of them torn down, and I was just wondering. I thought maybe it might be.
Right. Kevin last month brought to our attention some past bills for Republic that the Housing Commission went ahead and approved the money that we had left to pay for those, and then we're waiting for the drawdown. And we intend at that time, Mohan made arrangements today that when I get my drawdown, we'll take it directly to Republic and pay it ourselves.
Good. I just want to make sure we keep that relation up because that's something that we need to, I know we have one for the village, but also they gave us such a great deal for the housing, and I didn't want to lose that relationship.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Senior Committee. Let's see here. Looking for new seniors 50 and above. There's great events that's happening right now at the Senior Center. We got the Sauk Village Bluegrass on Sunday, Silver Sneakers on Tuesday, ceramic groups on Wednesday. The paperback book exchange program continues to be very successful. I'd say a special thank you to Nancy Baker for her continuous book donations. The village seniors 50 and older are welcome to attend the senior open activities every Friday from 12:30 to 3:30 p.m. There's no meeting, no membership dues required. Light refreshments are served. There's flyers, I think, on the back wall or by the senior center if you're interested. Chili chefs are wanted for the committee's 8th annual chili cook-off on Saturday, March 12th. Again, there's flyers with additional information if you want to be a cook. Do me a favor, see Rose, and she can get you all signed up for being a chili cook. Let's see here, the Boone Township Senior Community lunch tickets are available on sale from the March 16th Graceland. Elvis is Alive. March 9th is the ticket deadline. Appointments are still available for income tax preparation. Other programs include basic line dance classes Wednesdays and Fridays. Chair exercise, free legal assistance, blood pressure screening, AARPs, smart driving courses, tips, or say it again, AARP, smart driving course tips, health insurance assistance, and low-cost senior wheels transportation. You can call daily for 2 days in advance, it looks like. You can call 708-754-8200. Call Boone Township Senior Department at 708-754-9400 and extension 244 for additional information and/or services. See, the Jones Memorial Community Center Golden Agers meeting is on Wednesday, March 16th. The annual dues for $5 is due for the year of 2016, plus it's $5 for the lunch. There's a social hour from 10 a.m. to 10:30, and lunch is served from 11:30. It's served at 11:30 a.m. You may want to call for reservations, though. Reservations, you want to call 757-5395. Just a reminder, the first installment of property taxes is due March 1st. Otherwise, there's a late interest of 1.5% per month. And that's by state law. Just to remember, you still have the continuous frauds and scams that are targeting seniors daily. Callers, mailings, and emails who claim to be from the IRS, your bank, credit card, Social Security, etc. They're not legitimate. Unless you are initiating the call, do not give out your personal information. The SMP, which is the Senior Medical Patrol model, is protect, detect, and report. Protect yourself from Medicare errors, fraud, and abuse. Detect. Learn to detect potential errors, frauds, and abuse, and report if you suspect that you have been a target of errors, frauds, and abuse. Report it. Call the Aged Options at 1-800-699-9043, or you can call their 708 number at 383-0258. Next senior committee meeting will be held on Thursday, March 10th at 7 p.m. At the Senior Center. And one thing we talked about, which I'm really excited about, the last senior meeting, was opening up the Senior Center daily. We are shooting for March the 1st from 10 o'clock a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. to have the Senior Center open daily. That will be Monday through Thursday. And we already know that Friday is the Senior Opens activity from 12:30 to 3:30. So there's some exciting things happening at the Senior Center. All right, so that's it. Move to new business.
Just, Mr. Mayor?
Trustee.
Two things. One, how does a person, because I was asked, how does a person go about joining the ceramic group?
Good question. It's only my first lesson of the month. All I know is it says they want more seniors members, so, we'll contact the
do they have
senior
to go?
committee. I'm sure that
Okay.
it's usually open. In fact, it's on, what did I say, the
Thursday.
senior and senior groups on Wednesday. I'm sorry, ceramic groups on Wednesday.
Okay, do they have to, you don't know if they have to join a senior group, or could they come in and just?
Yeah.
They just come on a Wednesday and they can just come in and join?
There you go. Got it from a senior. I've got a couple more years before I hit that 50 mark, so. Yeah.
keep living.
Yeah.
And then, and that's because they wanted to know about that. And also the joining the daily opening of the community, the senior center. Who's going to be monitoring that? Is that going to be monitored?
Hey, we've got a young person coming in. We got it from the county, right?
You said a young person?
Yeah. Prairie State. We got an individual coming from Prairie State that the village can use. So we're going to use that individual to open up the senior center, make sure it's available. He's also going to, it's a he, right? This quote. He's also going to be doing things around the offices and stuff here, so it allows to be able to have someone available.
But we couldn't use a senior that already here in the village to do that.
Well, we're not paying for him.
That's what I'm saying, a volunteer senior.
So they can volunteer too.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering, because I don't, that was just my observation. I know that you're going to go to Bloom. Bloom's going to send somebody here, and I guess they'll pay for them or whatever. But I'm just wondering because I do know some seniors, and I know how it can be with a same person that they don't. I just wanted to ask the question. Thank you.
Yep. No problem. New business, motion A is the motion to approve accounts payable and disbursements for February 9, 2016 through February 23rd, 2016, according to Sauk Village policy. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion, and a second, any questions or comments? Hearing none, yeah, trustee, who was that, you? Trustee Tate.
On page 5 of the account, this says Water Department Fund. I'm looking at the sub-entries of 2013. There are 2 entries there for the same date. Page 5 on the Water Fund, which is the top category. And I'm looking at 2013. And it says Suburban Laboratories, wastewater analysis. And I see there are 2 entries for the same date.
Kevin, do we have to, no, you just lost them. Is that for each separate well?
Yeah,
The wells are the 1, 2, and 3?
Correct. The invoice numbers are different. So there's 2 different invoice numbers. We are paying for 2 different wells.
Okay, the analysis was done. What is our percentage of water waste at this time? Do we know what the water waste percentage is? Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, Village Clerk, please call roll.
Burgess.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item B, motion to approve committee meeting minutes for January 19, 2016. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion, is there? Got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Village Clerk, please call roll.
Jones.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Hicks.
No.
Washington.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Burgess.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item C, motion to approve regular board meeting minutes for January 26, 2016. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Village Clerk, please call roll.
Myers.
Yes.
Hicks.
No.
Washington.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Burgess.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
She said here.
Motion carries. Item D, motion to approve ordinance of the Village of Sauk Village, Cook County, Illinois, supporting the renewal of a Class 8 real estate tax assessment classification for 21701 South Mark Collins Drive. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Village Clerk, please call roll.
Hicks. Washington.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Burgess.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item E, motion to approve an agreement for maintenance of streets and highways by municipalities under the Illinois Highway Code and Municipal Maintenance Expenditure Statement. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Village Clerk, please call roll.
Washington.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Burgess.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item F, motion to approve a settlement, case number 14CV8174, Robinson versus Sauk Village, in the amount of $30,000. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Question.
Trustee.
I thought is there going to be there was something else that I was told about today. Is that going to be later on voted, or are they going to take that out of content? I mean, there was another.
There's another one.
Right.
Memo. Matt Burke from my office
Right.
spoke to some of you and tried to speak to the rest before the meeting. I have a poor copy of it. In any event, it's not on the agenda. It'll be at another board meeting.
Okay, so that'll be another.
Yes.
Okay, I just wondered because I know I saw this one, but I didn't see the other. Okay.
All right, any other
And this
questions?
is the final. This is the final figure, correct?
Correct.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Village Clerk, please call roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Burgess.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item G, motion to approve an ordinance approving the amendment to the Sauk Village Municipal Code for the Village of Sauk Village, Illinois. Public comment. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Question.
Trustee?
I know we talked about this at the extent last meeting. Would it be a problem if we can amend it to say instead of 1 hour, that we can just amend it and not give a time limit?
No.
That was just a question. It was just a question. It's not something I'm asking attorneys now. Can we not give a time? Can we put that out and still vote to accept this, or does it have to be rewritten?
I mean, we can always come back and amend it later. It came from the Ordinance Review Committee.
Well, we did review it yesterday at the ordinance review meeting, but the changes that were made were based on the conversation that we had last week Tuesday, where we talked about all the different points. And it was our understanding that everybody had approved the 4 different points that were in there, as far as any topic, the 3 minutes, the 1 hour time limit, and the what to do if someone did not relinquish the floor. So we all, as a board, we all discussed this on Tuesday, and no one had a problem with the 1 hour time limit at that time. That's why it was presented at this time.
Okay, I just asked a question.
Question.
See?
Okay, so when we're having our board meeting and the audience is talking and they have their 3 minutes and we have so many people in line and it goes past an hour, then what? We can make a motion to extend the time, Trustee Myers?
Yes.
To let the.
It's in there that the board can
We can
extend.
always do that.
That's not in
During
here.
each meeting, last week.
Let me jump in here now.
In there, did
If
it
I'm-
say with the board's approval, not to exceed an hour with the board's approval? What did it say about that?
Ms. Washington, there's one question I have to ask the attorneys. Is it permissible, we would have to rescind all the present motion and second, and then take that on consideration, and then go back to this? Your call, sir.
Comment.
Right now, there's a motion and a second on the ordinance as it's presented. There's been questions and comments. If somebody wants to make a change and not go along with what the ordinance committee and whatever was discussed last week, somebody would have to rescind the second, the motion, the second, which was made.
I have a comment.
Go ahead, you have the floor, right?
I was in the end of that, what did it say? I thought it said not to exceed an hour.
It says, the public comment portion of the meeting will not exceed an hour unless a majority of the board agrees to extend the time limit. So that's what the board asked to have added in there to make sure that was part of it.
So if it exceeds an hour where residents are in line before, we can say let them continue to talk.
Just takes the majority of the board.
Right, okay.
Trustee, I think Trustee Myers was next.
No, trustee takes that.
Right. We're way back. Go ahead, Trustee Tate.
All right, like I said, if we got present here, we got the ordinance in place, we got a second and a motion. We're gonna have to either back off of it and come back, or go with this one here, since it's the call to an attorney, and I think, and I see, he said that we can't do that without, that they're pulling all their votes back, pull their seconds and their regular vote back, and then discuss this one, and then go back to this one here. And I think that's what he said.
Yeah, and we've come a long way with this.
Yes.
I mean, there was a lot of compromise at last Tuesday night's meeting to get to what we have here tonight. It was made very clear what this ordinance was going to say. In fact, I asked multiple times on every single point, and everyone agreed to this. And what we did was compromise, went back and forth, sent it back to our review committee, where the review committee went off and expedited to get it back before us so we could go ahead. I mean, we already have a motion and a second on the floor. This is something that should be passed or not passed. Put it up for a vote, but we can always go back, and if you want to amend that portion, But remember, the hour was not set in stone. The hour was so the majority of the board could say, we want to go longer. And again, when we looked at the amount of speaking, I mean, when was the last time we had over an hour worth of people come to the podium? It's been a long time. I mean, when we had the water issue, we saw that.
Okay, well, Mayor, I think Trustee Tate has something. And I'm reading, and I'm going to take portion of this revision. It says the mayor may call for recess or direct a police safety officer to ask the individual to yield the podium. Number one, that was not discussed last week. Police safety officer was not. It was a village administrator that was identified as the individual. And the village administrator has since given us a letter saying he declines that task. So what is police safety officer?
The ordinance review. No, go ahead. Okay.
Well, we figured that we still need a person there that was a hold up for any amount, for a good amount of time there. We discussed it. We came back and we thought Mr. Feynman was the safety director that might cover his duties, and so unfortunately he did check with it, and unfortunately that is not part of the scope that his job description spells out. So we still needed somebody, and as in all meetings we go to, we still need a sergeant at arms, and we need somebody to be there. And we felt that the mayor may have recessed. Nobody had a problem with that. We just had a problem with who's going to be the safety officer, or who's going to be the person to ask the person to yield the podium. And we've been doing it with the police chief. So the only alternative is either we elect a person to do it, or we go back to having the police chief to yield if we need so. And my recommendation, there is times that we might need it. I hope, pray that doesn't happen, but there might be a time. Mr. Raymond J.W. did point out a very good thing to us. No words that give our safety director the police powers to act if he has to act. However, it does give all the powers to the police chief. He is a designated sworn officer, as everybody knows. That's the co-chair and I both agreed that we needed an officer there, so we added that phrase back to the police safety officer to ask the individual to yield the podium. We've completely removed everything else out of the section. And once again, we need somebody. I feel that at this time we should go ahead and use the police chief. He has all the power, and Mr. Freeman doesn't have that type of power to walk up to somebody and say, the mayor asked you to yell at the podium, and a person may say, I'm not going to yell it, you can't make me yell it. Well, I hope it never happens that way. But
There, I think the issue we're clear is, we removed over 2 sentences of everything talking about argumentative, that was all removed. We talked about in the meeting. The other thing too is removed about defendant a trustee or the mayor, all that has been removed. So, and then when again, you remove the part of removing a person from the podium, we remove the part of removing a person from the meeting, kept everything the way that the board wanted, kept everything the way the board wanted about asking the person to yield. So, I mean, again, like I said, there's a lot of compromise, there's a lot of stuff that was taken out that looks before you tonight.
Mr. Mayor, that still doesn't respond to my question. My question was about the use of the police safety officer. And I know there's disagreement, but that was not discussed last week.
There was multiple discussions about using the chief, using police officers, using public safety director.
Listen carefully. Police safety officer was not discussed.
They are there. They're a safety officer, police safety officer.
That is not in their job description. My concern is that your someone is making up terms and throwing them in and expecting people to buy it. The discussion last week was very specific on what was to be done. Mr. Fairman declined that assignment. So I don't know how, I can imagine who, got involved in inserting police safety officer. That is my question.
I think that I answered it, but I will answer it one more time for you.
I think we've covered it enough. I think we're kind of getting away from our other ordinance about how we're supposed to talk about something, so.
Mr. Mayor, it's not redundant, it's just a question, because I wasn't clear when Mr. Fairman decided not to, but I thought his position was public safety director. Okay, he said he didn't want to do that, he wrote you a letter, and we got copies of it. But in lieu of, before we had a chief, didn't Mr. Fairman act as an acting director or acting chairman or whatever title you want to get over the police department until we got that? I know that Becky was the deputy at the time, but didn't she have to report to Mr. Fairman?
Every department has to report.
Okay, so then why could he not still be part of public safety? Because the police presence, like I said before, I don't think it's welcome like that in the village when we have our meetings, when you have to escort someone out. But if that ever happens, and I'm hoping that it never does, I would like to see someone other than the police department, because I think the people that are here are adult enough and mature enough to not go any further. I think that if you ask them that they would relinquish and they would give up but a lot of times when it goes over, it's because a person may have to take their time, they may forget their thoughts, and they go over. And that's the only thing, that's why I asked to put it in that if it gets heated, that we just have a recess. But a public safety officer to have that in here, safety officer to have this in, it doesn't state the police chief. It says a police safety officer. So a police safety officer is an officer.
Mr. Mayor, you can probably confirm that. You got the chief of police standing in the back of the room. My understanding, police officer is a public safety officer around the clock. Is that true or not, sir?
Yes, it is.
You have the answer from the police chief. What's the problem? Mr. Mayor, you have an ordinance on board.
We have a motion.
But people, you have to remember that you are getting the right to speak at both meetings on any topic. That is what I've heard tonight. There's people said that they didn't get a chance to talk tonight because it was on agenda items. This ordinance will open it up when we talk to on any item at any meeting. It spells it out very plainly. So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. We have a motion and a second on the floor.
Second.
That's for the village clerk. Call roll.
Burgess.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Tate.
No.
Washington.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, miscellaneous comments from the mayor and the board of trustees. Trustee Myers.
Yes, I do have one last comment on Chief Thornhill, Thursday, February 25th, from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. There will be a memorial service at the church on Burnham Avenue. Then the memorial service will be Friday, February 26th at 10 a.m. There will be a service. And then we'll go to I believe it's in Morrow Lane Cemetery on, is it 30th? With that, it's posted at the fire station. You call fire station, call the village clerk. We have all this information. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Trustee Diggs.
Couple of things. I want to thank Mr. and Mrs. Ayers for the gift. Appreciate it. Second thing, I attended a meeting that was designed for providing veterans information for property taxes. On the back table are some forms I put back there for every vet. Please fill that out and give it to me before you leave tonight. I will put together some packets for you that tell you how to go about getting the property tax deferment if you're eligible for that. It will certainly help out, I'm sure. In addition to that, there's a program that's designed for veterans that provides you with a discount card, and they have over 200 different businesses, and you show this card and you get a discount being a veteran. Now, the only downside to that is you have to go all the way to Markham because they have to take your picture for the ID card. But I'll have that information for you next week. If you fill out the form and see that I get that, I'll have the information for you so that you can take advantage of not only your property tax part of it, but also the discount card, which is something that's very new for veterans. The second thing is that I had a chance to speak with one of the residents that talked about attempting to send me personally an email, and they went to the website, the village website that says trustees, and they didn't know if they sent the email there, who looks at it, who monitors it, where does it go? And I just advise them, for me personally, don't send it there, because I don't know who monitors it, who looks at it, and who does what with it. They also commented that neither I nor Trustee Jones are part of the website. I advised them that we were not part of the marquee either. So maybe they'll take some action and add, if you want to be added, Trustee Jones, to the village's website so people know how to get in contact with us. Finally, take a look at the village audit. And I had asked when the auditors were here if I could ask them questions. I was told to direct them to Mr. Mohan. Mr. Mohan, I will put them in writing and get those to you. But the only thing that I noticed that was present from the audit, well, not the only thing. One of the things I noticed from the audit is that of the 19 items that I saw in the management letter, majority of them are repeats from last year, which means nothing was done to correct them. And I think that the idea of having an audit is they identify problems and then you work to make corrections. And this evidently was not done. From what I looked at, only 4 of 19 items were brand new. The others were repeats from last year. And I don't know why we continue to operate by neglecting things that someone has pointed out is wrong. It would seem to me that those are the things that you correct and make sure they don't show up in the next audit report. But that's not being done. And the audit report also talked about possibilities of fraud and misappropriations and all this good stuff because of the poor accounting system that we have. And I think one of the auditors casually mentioned that during the presentation. So those are just things I think the trustees should or may or may not want to pay attention to when we have repeat infractions that are not corrected. It costs a lot of money to have these audits done, and when we don't get them done on time, we have to pay delinquencies for that. I think it's a waste of money. If we're not going to do it, then we shouldn't pay people all this money to come out here. Just give somebody some money and let them take a look at the books. So I'm very distressed by what I read, and I did get a chance to read most of the audit, but primarily I focused on the management report, and that clearly gave an overview of where we are and possibly what we should be doing. Finally, I was also asked about the people we should know, and you know we acknowledge and recognize one family. And I was asked what was the criteria for that and how is it done and who makes the selection, all the good things. And I honestly admitted that I have not seen anything that says these are the criteria for you to be a person the village should know. These are the people that are going to make that selection. I have not personally seen anything that lays out those guidelines. And if at all possible, I'd like the village clerk to give that to me tonight, and I can make sure the resident gets that in their hands so that they will know what standards they have to meet to be a person we should know. Thank you.
I'd be very happy to address that first. I addressed that last week. Every single person who's been nominated as a person you should know has been given that recognition. All you have to do is contact me and give me the name of the person or the family or the organization that you would like to recognize. Give me the important information that you would like stated. Every single person, I believe the first person we did that with was Mr. Griffin. Okay, and we have continued to recognize every single, there is no criteria. If you have enough information on a person that you would like to recognize them, this is open to the community. If it's your neighbor, if it's a business person who just happened to be really nice to you, whatever the case may be. And I started this program so that we can bring some good things to the community about the good people that live here. So criteria, there is none. Call me. We'll talk.
That makes it very subjective. Surely. There should be standards to meet. It's not about being refused, that people need to know what standards they have to meet. That's just common sense.
They have to be nominated. That's the only standard. And if you want to change the way that I've been doing this for the past 2 years, trustee Tate, this is the way I've chosen to do it. And so far, it hasn't been a problem.
I didn't say it's a problem, no. I just said I have someone that wants to know what the criteria is, who does the selection. And who does the selection. That's very subjective. If you get 10 people and you will choose one, that's a selection.
I have never done that, and I will not do that.
I don't care. I don't care. I do not care what you won't do. You have told me before what you won't do. I don't care about that.
Absolutely.
You work for the mayor. You don't work for me.
Everybody, please send in your nominations for people you should know. I guarantee you they will be recognized at a board meeting.
Okay, man.
Thank you.
Good
Your mouth is a shame. Your mouth is a shame.
I know your children are here. I am not your child. So what are you going to do? So what are you going to do?
It's really a shame that something good has turned into a negative situation.
What are you going to do?
Mr. Mayor.
Trustee, you done? Trustee Tate, you done? You done? Yes. Trustee Jones.
Mr. Mayor.
Parks and Recs committee meeting is held every first Thursday of the month. That would be March 3rd. Parks and Recs committee meeting will be held in the community center at 7 o'clock.
Trustee Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was piggybacking off of Trustee Tate. He made a comment about fraud and misappropriation from the audit report that he was reviewing and going through. And he expressed that he was very distressed at some of the things that he saw. And I had asked Mohan a couple of times, I'm going to ask you tonight out here. I know that in September, we all went to IML, and everyone that attended that meeting with IML, we all received a $300 per diem allotment for those 3 days that we were down there for that workshop. And we were given specific directions when we got the $300, each elected official and participant that went to IML to fill out an expense report and to bring back all of the receipts with the expense report. I've asked you several times in your office, and I'm just asking, I understand that there are several elected officials or participants that took the $300 and did not bring back any receipts, refused to turn in any receipts. And we have 3 or 4 participants that went down to IML, and some, this is the second year that they have not turned in any receipts or any documentation of the $300 that the checks that the village wrote. So, I'm asking you publicly tonight that by the time we have the next meeting, when Neighborhood Watch sponsored from our own funds donuts for the businesses that we had a public safety rally for. We took money off of our own line item to purchase those donuts. It was questioned, why does Neighborhood Watch have $64 on here? What was that for? So I would like to know, trustees or elected officials or participants that took $300 each to go to a conference for the village, took the check, returned from the conference 6 months ago in September, and have not to this day submitted a receipt or any documentation for taking that money. That's fraud and misappropriation of funds as well.
Ms. Washington, question. I have to inform Ms. Washington, I did not go to the conference last year, so therefore I don't owe anybody $300.
So you are not on the list?
You said all trustees, madam.
No, sir, I said 3 or 4. And I do apologize if I did. Trustee Myers. Trustee Myers, I do apologize if I said all trustees. Thank you for that clearance.
Anything else, trustee? Anything else?
Oh, no, sir.
Trustee Burgess.
Let's watch all the money. There you go. Exactly.
Okay, I have a couple of things. First of all, I just want to say to Art, I've known you since I've been a trustee, and I've known you before I was a trustee when you were out there as a young man, with ESDA back in the day. I just want to say that sad, I won't say sad to see you go because you're probably going into a better climate now. You're going to be with family, and hopefully, the climate will be conducive to what you are trying to achieve, because the winters here are brutal. So that's one thing. But I just wanted to commend you on the service that you put into Sauk Village, the work that you put here, and I'm just glad that you're able to, be able to go somewhere else and, enjoy your retirement. Believe me, the water's fine. You can jump in. You'll be okay. And I just want to say thank you, sir, for everything that you've done for the village. With that note, I just heard Trustee Washington talk about whatever the money that's owed or whatever the case may be. I'm sure Mohan has told those who did not turn in their expense report and did not fill it out. I'm sure he's informed them. However, if not, we can, skip all of this and just make it public, so we don't have to be pointing fingers and all this other kind of stuff. This is not, we're worried about the wrong thing. We're worried about what money that can or cannot be. We got millions of dollars that we owe. So we need to look at that. Also what money that maybe a trustee or elected official may be doing something with. But right now, we have bigger fish to fry, trying to find out what are we going to do, how are we going to get this money back into our coffers, because we depleted one of them already, and that's the CN fund just about. So we need to, let's talk about that too. Don't just say, well, he didn't pay this or he didn't do this or that. Let's think about that also. Let's look at that, and like I stated, we got bigger fish to fry. Mayor and Board of Trustees, last Friday, our own trustee, Trustee Tates, attended a inspection at Bloom Trail, the junior ROTC. I'm sure the mayor was there, the village administrator was there, and the police chief was there. And our own trustee Lieutenant Colonel was the officer in charge. He's the one that performed the inspection on the junior ROTCs. With that said, they sent a trophy or a recognition. It's kind of heavy, but I want to present this to our own village trustee and Lieutenant Colonel, United States retired, United States retired, Colonel Tate, on behalf of the junior ROTC. This is what they said. I'll give you the box later. And with that said, I've never in my lifetime was able to meet a lieutenant colonel, let alone a colonel. I did know a major, but that's a lot too. I don't know, with politics put aside, for a person to obtain that takes a lot of work. I don't care what anyone says, to become a lieutenant colonel in this man's army is, that's a lot said. Like I said, I don't know anybody that has attained that rank. I do know a couple of majors, but not a lieutenant colonel. That's all I have, and your box is right here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Dick. I'll go through some of this stuff real quick. I know there are some statements that were made. I just want to make sure we clear these up. First of all, a statement was made that there's trustees and that their name is not on the marquee. That was false. That was incorrect. Their names are on the marquee. If you go to the mayor's Facebook page, you'll see that the pictures of the marquee are on there. I just posted them. In fact, if you want to see it, here's the marquee.
I said his names were not on the marquee until it was mentioned. It was put on there after the fact.
On there.
Please don't misquote me. Please don't misquote me.
Trustee, I didn't.
Please don't misquote me. Please do not misquote me.
So the trustee was incorrect by saying that. Second, talked about the audit, and just remember that the audit reports provide suggestions for the village. That was also included in the last meeting, which they made it very clear that the suggestions that they have made require to hire additional resources. So just make sure that we realize for us to take those suggestions, it's going to require hiring people. And again, those are only suggestions that they put out there. So just to make sure I cover that. The budget was mentioned tonight. I've got a lot of the information from the budget. We're working on the last things that JW met with the department heads. So once we get all that information in there, I'll be doing the final review, providing the finance committee with a recommendation from the mayor. Again, I think we're still pretty much on time. We talked about the middle of March. I did attend the NJROTC last Friday, so the young people did a great job, and it was very impressive. All the work that was put in, it was just unbelievable. So they did a great job. Again, we already mentioned about the projected for snowfall tonight. Be careful when you're driving, especially tomorrow, and watch out for snow plows. We'll make sure that I make this announcement. Congresswoman Robin Kelly is hosting a housing expo, which will be Saturday, March 5th from 9 to 1. She's having it at the new Early Learning Center at 729 Engle Street in Dalton, Illinois. Also, if you go to the mayor's Facebook page, you'll see that we put a lot of information out there for free senior enrichment seminars that are put out by the Circuit Court of Cook County. They've got 3 coming up within, I think one's the end of this month, and then they've got 2 more coming up in March. So they're for seniors, they're free. It's things that are affecting seniors nowadays. So if you get a chance, go ahead and take a look at those. So, with that said, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
Question.
Trustee.
Mayor, in lieu of the rehearsals that we have Saturday, I don't want to put the residents in a hostile situation. So just to let you know, we will be having our rehearsal for Neighborhood Watch here at the Village Hall this coming Saturday. And then we will resume at the community center. And Mohan, I will be forwarding that information about IML.
All right. With that said, I ask for a motion to adjourn. And a motion to adjourn.
Also, go to the village webpage and you'll see when
Is there a second?
Just do something.
Hey, trust, thank you. Have a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye. So he went again.
I'm going to get me.